I'm Tom Downey. Alongside me is Mitchell Renz. We'll keep going through some NFL head coaching candidates here, Mitchell. How about the Cincinnati Bengals now that Marvin Lewis, at long last, has been fired? I'll make note, though, Mitch, this job is not going to be appealing. People don't want this gig. They simply don't want it because ownership matters in the NFL. And although Marvin Lewis is patient, does he actually have a true desire to win games?
I think the real question...
Mike Brown, my bad.
Mike Brown. I just think he's cheap.
He is cheap. He absolutely is.
But, I mean, I wish the Bengals would go back to the team that they had in 2014 where they played really solid defense. They had a great offensive line. And, yeah, Jeremy Hill was great for that 1 year, but that's the team that I think that they need to go back to. And I don't know what the heck happened to this entire roster, but it's totally fallen apart with the Bengals. And, again, another season, no playoff wins for the Cincinnati Bengals. It's been a tough one.
So, unlike other jobs out there, I think if you rank the available jobs, the Bengals one might be the least appealing.
Out of the Dolphins, Browns, Packers,
Jets,
Broncos,
Cardinals, Bengals is the worst one.
I kind of agree. At least those other bad teams have money.
Yeah. Mike Brown does not want to spend money. Now, the one note I want to make here as we work through our top 10 candidates, Mike Brown operates on trust. He likes people he knows, people that will listen to him, that will let him not spend all the money in the world. So at number 10, and this has already been reported as well, Vance Joseph. If the Bengals hire Vance Joseph, just kill me now, Mitchell.
Bang.
Why would you do this?
Cheap.
Fails in Denver and comes back to the Bengals.
Cheap.
It's going to be an option.
Why would the Bengals hire Hue Jackson?
We'll get to him in a little bit.
I'm just saying, like, why would they bring him back? You show that resume.
Because Mike Brown.
You show that resume, 336-1. That's like me going to a.
We'll get to Hugh. Vance Joseph has been with the Bengals. He was the DB's coach from 2014 to 2015. So the connection is there. I won't be surprised if he gets interviewed. I think he would have been the DC had Marvin Lewis stuck around for one more year. But if the Bengals hire Vance Joseph, it's a lateral move at best. And it proves that Mike Brown doesn't care about winning games.
Facts.
All right, number 9, Jim Caldwell. Look,
another one.
I think that the Bengals, they're not going to get a Mike McCarthy. They're not going to get one of the top candidates. They'll have to settle for a lesser option like a Jim Caldwell, Mitch.
But again, we talked about it earlier when we were talking about the Packers coaches. I just don't understand the love around Jim Caldwell. He's an average coach, and if the Bengals want to get over the hump of being average, and right now they're below average, I don't really think it's Jim Caldwell whatsoever. I mean, 62-50 in 7 years, and when he was with the Lions, sure, I think he took over a very bad team, but they also sputtered, and I don't know. If I'm an NFL team, I don't want Jim Caldwell.
All right, number 8, and I agree with you there, George Edwards, the Vikings defensive coordinator. All these interviews, by the way, would fulfill the Rooney Rule requirements. The biggest factor against him is that Mike Zimmer actually calls the plays on defense, but he's interviewed in the past with the Bears, all right? And I think he did fairly well in that interview. He also knows Mike Zimmer. So there's that Bengals connection there. That's why he's number 8 on our list.
I get the connection, and I think George Edwards' resume was a little bit better last year, considering how great the Vikings defense was.
They regressed a little bit.
They regressed a lot.
I blame
them. I agree. I understand like the whole argument of everything, but coming into the season, the Vikings, I think we all would have sat here and said top 5 defense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not even in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a big factor there. All right, we'll stick here with some Vikings themes. John DeFilippo, who was the top candidate at the beginning of the year, and then he got fired.
Yep.
Now, I'm telling you guys, do not be surprised if he gets some head coaching interviews anyway.
He should.
And what? I don't know if he should.
I think he should.
I'm out on the head coach for now because you can't get fired as an OC and fall upward into the NFL head coaching job. And yet, the Bengals, who desperately need some help on the offensive side of the ball, maybe they do go DeFilippo because they're not going to get one of the top guys.
I think we talked about it earlier. The Bengals' head coaching job right now is the least sexy out of them all.
It is.
And maybe John DeFilippo can fall forward. Maybe, is that even falling forward, being the head coach of the Bengals?
It is falling forward.
Okay.
It absolutely
is.
If
you say so.
All right, number 6, a name we haven't really discussed on any of our previous shows, Shane Waldron, who is the tight end coach for the Rams, and he's the passing game coordinator, so he's kind of close to the OC there. Good coaching tree. Sean McVay, Bill Belichick.
Great coaching tree.
Yeah.
And again, it's the whole copycat league. He's a young-minded coach. But again, he's a tight end coach, but he's also offensive game plan coordinator.
Passing game coordinator.
So he's got, I guess, a little bit of a diversity there. But
people like him for his leadership traits is what I've been told.
It's like ball skills.
So which means he's going to interview, well, ball skills are tangible, I think. I don't know if leadership traits are in terms of like a staff. You know?
Leadership, I don't know if you can teach leadership.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code LIVE120. After you sign up and deposit, you'll get a 120% deposit bonus. So you put down $50, they'll give you 64 free to bet with, and then DM us on Twitter @chatsports, and we'll get you guys an NFL jersey. It's the best deal out there.
You're going to get money for free when you sign up and deposit. Again, use that promo code LIVE120 at chatsports.com/bet, and then DM us on Twitter @chatsports. Get yourself a jersey. We got Zeke, we got Breeze, basically any NFL jersey of your choice, and they are authentic, not just some cheap, I don't know, Chinese jersey you're going to find online. No, we're going to get you the real thing.
All right, let's move now to number 5 on our Bengals head coach candidate list, and I'm not kidding, folks, is indeed Hue Jackson, because this was the Bengals' plan originally.
Disgusting.
This was their plan a couple years ago. Marvin Lewis becomes the front office man, or one of the front office men. Hue Jackson becomes the head coach. This is the nightmare scenario for the Cincinnati Bengals. But Mike Brown loves Hue Jackson, and he somehow keeps getting work.
I would rather see you get nude on this screen than Hue Jackson have a head coaching job.
I would rather just be the Bengals head coach. How about that?
I just wouldn't understand the Hue Jackson hiring. 336-1. That's what I'm going to go to.
I love the Hue Jackson hiring at the time because he was a good OC for the Bengals. I was wrong. Hue Jackson, as we saw once he was promoted, is a cancer within the Cleveland Browns organization. And that's been the case oftentimes everywhere he goes. Hue looks out for himself. He will sabotage others to get what he wants in the end. Hue Jackson threw all of the Browns players under the bus days after being fired, and then they won more games than he ever had with them.
I love it.
Hue Jackson doesn't deserve a shot as an NFL coach ever again. I don't want him anywhere near my organization. I don't think it's a coincidence once Hue Jackson came in, the Bengals lost all their games.
I don't either, homie.
If Hue Jackson is hired by the Cincinnati Bengals, there needs to be a coup within the NFL to strip Mike Brown of ownership.
Well, there's going to be something
on the grounds of incompetence.
There's going to be a lot of stripping in Mike Brown coming out, so I'm telling you right now.
That's your blackmail theory. So Hue Jackson there at number 5, the nightmare fuel for Bengals fans everywhere.
Get your twos up.
Yeah. All right, number 4, Pete Carmichael, the Saints OC again. He seems to want an NFL head coaching job. There are no real ties here for the Bengals, but if looking for an offensive mind, he's got some background under the Sean Payton and even the Marty Schottenheimer coaching tree. Just 47, hasn't called the plays, but if you're the Bengals, again, you're settling for maybe a B-list candidate, Carmichael makes sense.
I think it makes sense as well. I mean, I understand he hasn't called the plays, but when you're learning under offensive minds like Payton, Schottenheimer, the Bengals need to get the ball rolling a little bit on offense, there's no doubt, and they definitely need to get that defense fixed. They might have the worst defense in the NFL right now. So if Carmichael can come in, at least be a B-level coach, like you said, I think maybe it's an option for the Bengals.
All right, so Carmichael, number 4. Another Saints assistant, number 3, is Dan Campbell, who has drawn more head coaching interest than Carmichael has, despite not being the OC, not getting all the plays. Campbell is the tight end coach, but also the assistant head coach, so he's kind of got that extra level of responsibility there. Did a decent job as the Dolphins interim head coach back in 2015. Comes from the Bill Parcells coaching tree. Interviewed for the Colts last year. He's among some of the top suggested candidates by the NFL themselves.
I like Dan Campbell, and there's one thing that I'll say that he got out of his Dolphins players was he got a lot out of them. They were not a very talented team when he was the interim head coach, and sure, 5-7, you can say it's not a very good record, but they played for him. And the Bengals need a coach that they're going to play for. Like, they will play for Dan Campbell. Also, Dan Campbell might actually be big enough to actually play in the NFL. That dude is jacked.
He is a massive
I would not want to tick him off.
All right, into the top 2 then. Number 2, Matt Campbell. And maybe if you're the Bengals, this is your dream scenario.
Okay.
Dream realistic scenario.
How old is Campbell? 36?
He's 39 now.
39?
Still young. Spent most of his coaching career in the state of Ohio. NFL and college programs love him. Is the Bengals' job enough to get him to the NFL? He gets to go back to Ohio, gets to be an NFL head coach.
Makes sense.
Obviously, do the Bengals want him? Is it enough in the end?
I mean, if the Browns don't offer him something, then sure. I think it's a reasonable argument to make, but 39 years old, I mean, you might consider that young, but I don't know if I would.
To actually win games at Iowa State is immensely impressive.
And win big games. Like, they are always good for at least one big win every single year.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat Oklahoma 2 years ago. Who was their big upset this year?
Drawing a blank on
Did they beat Kansas State?
West Virginia was their big upset.
West Virginia.
That's the one, yeah. All right, let's move then to number 1 on our head coaching candidate list here, Eric Bieniemy. It's still early. This is my guess.
Okay.
Outside the organization, so some new blood, and knows Mike Brown. Now, that might be a negative for Eric Bieniemy, but he played for the Bengals from 1995 to 1998, an offensive mind, so the opposite of Marvin Lewis, would I assume be head coach and possibly call the plays as well. Bieniemy comes in. There are the ties to the Bengals organization which matter a lot for Mike Brown. I would like this hire, and I'd be okay with it.
You'd be okay with it?
Because I don't expect the Bengals to land one of the top targets.
Fair.
There's no chance they get Mike McCarthy. There's no chance they get Lincoln Riley. And down here, if you can land Eric Bieniemy, that's a good sign there.
No, and I can hear you there, but I mean, I think ultimately when you're looking at Bieniemy, you always say the word trust. And when we're talking about the Bengals, the amount of times that the word trust is even said in a sentence, it could almost really be just a drinking game. So I think when you just look at that, I think it's pretty interesting, though, with Bieniemy. The fact that he played there before does give me maybe a little bit more confidence.
So Bieniemy's my top target. We'll see what ends up happening in the end there for the Cincinnati Bengals, but I think they are in decent shape. Let us know in the comment section, folks, who you think the Bengals should hire and or will hire. Mitch, what are your quick thoughts there?
Matt Campbell's interesting. Dan Campbell, I'm going to go Dan Campbell. I would like to see him
like
back on the NFL sideline.
Oh my God. Head
coach. Yeah, head coach. I hope they let him wear no sleeves and wear some just tiger stripes. That'd be awesome.
Tight shirt at least?
Oh, that'd be phenomenal.
It gets a little cold though.
Maybe a V-neck.
I think Bieniemy's the most logical option there for the Cincinnati Bengals. And folks, I'll remind everyone one more time here. Once things change, we get more interview notes and all that stuff, we will update these throughout the year. So make sure you're subscribed